Okay, team, this is going to be for my Tech Ed 2-3 class. This is going to be that first drawing that we went over in class the other day, just a follow-up video for anyone that may need this. We walked through this during class on the ACC Part 1. Most of you were able to get this completed, but I do know a couple were struggling. So hopefully this video, this short video, will get you to the point where you can create this part and this drawing, so the next class you can get this all submitted. So starting right away, the part we're going to be creating right here is this Solidworks A61. I call it Part 3 because in subsequent other drawing or pieces or assignments I've handed out, there's been 3 different parts to this. So we're just going to end up doing the third part only because basically we're trying to focus on just the basics here. Okay. Now again, as we talked about in class, when we're looking at this and comparing it with our SolidWorks, what we're looking at is the way the drawing is set up. Okay, so down here in this left-hand corner, this is our front view. Okay, the front view is if you're looking in from this direction. So if you're following my cursor, it'd be like I'm looking straight at this, and what I see is this C shape. Okay, and then this here is our top view. This will relate to our top plane in SolidWorks. That is as if I was looking straight down at this part from here. Okay, so I'd be seeing from here a rectangle with a slot in it, and then below that I'd see part of a square. This view here is my right side view, and this will correlate to the right plane when we're drawing in SolidWorks. Okay, the right side view is coming in from the right side of the paper. I'd be looking at straight on from this side. What I would see is a rectangle here, a rectangle here, and then there's a bigger rectangle in between the two. And that's what I'm seeing here. There's a rectangle, the other rectangle, and then the rectangle in between. Now, when we go to draw, when we look at these drawings, essentially what you're trying to do is recreate what I've produced here. You want to look at the view that makes it the easiest and gives you the most information you need to produce this part. Now, you could pretty much draw from any of these views, but what we want to look for is efficiency. I don't want to have to draw something and then take more steps to cut things away when I could have done it in fewer steps from another view. In this case, the easiest thing I see is to start from the front plane and draw basically this C shape. Okay, we'll get all that dimensioned, we'll use all the dimensions we see in this drawing, but we'll get this general shape right here, this little C, and then what we're going to do is once we get this shape here, we will use our extrusion tool in SolidWorks and extrude it a distance of, in this case, 102 millimeters. Alright, from there we'll hit this top surface, we're going to draw a slot. When we draw a slot and use our information here to define it, we will then cut through, and then we're going to highlight this face down here, and we are going to draw a square, and again, using our dimensions up here, we will define that and also cut it through, finishing the part. Okay, so we're going to put this plan into action. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and get my SolidWorks up and running. The big thing on that is when we're looking at the part, we want to make sure what units we're using. Okay, so when we're looking at a drawing like this, the first thing you want to look for is a metric box. Okay, and these will be on all the drawings I produce for you. You either have metric, or if there's nothing on there, then it's going to be imperial, or what we call inches. Okay, today we're drawing in metric because I see the box right here in blue that says metric. So when I start my part in SolidWorks, when I go to File, New, right here, little paper. Okay, so templates aren't present, okay, because you remember last class when we went through it, I walked through and set everything up for you, so all of us should now be with the Advanced tab, and all of you should now have a SolidWorks Templates folder, all right? In that folder, the first 2 things we have here are our part files, all right? We have either part in inches, or we can do a part in metric. All the subsequent things in this folder are our drawings. Okay, so when we are working in my class, or this class specifically, you are always going to start a part, and then you'll put it onto a drawing. All right, so in this case, the first thing we're going to do is highlight the word metric and hit OK. Now, SolidWorks opens up a drawing phase, or drawing area, okay, but we have to define which of these, which plane do we want to start on. Okay, now if you look over here to the left in our design tree, that's this thing here to the left I'm circling, you will see in the design tree we have 3 planes, front, top, and right. Okay, those correspond to the views we just saw in the drawing, front side, or front view, top view, and right side view. Now if you recall, I talked about using the front view as our model, or what we're going to start from. So front view means I'm going to start on my front plane. Okay, when I go to my front plane, I'm going to come up here and turn on the word sketch. You'll notice there's a sketch tab here. If that is not open, all you do is click on sketch, and then you left click to say I want to activate a sketch. Alright, now you'll notice right away if I activate a sketch that the origin went from blue to red. That means we're active. Our tools are all available to us up here, and that's what we're going to use to start drawing. Alright, now I'm going to do this very simply with a line tool. Now in this case, it's very important that we have everything attached to our origin. The origin is very critical, especially when we start getting into center of mass. We want to relate everything to our origin. That is that thing in the middle of the screen. I'm going to go ahead, and you'll notice there's a little pencil right there with a line next to it. That is the indication that we are sketching. Pencil means sketch, and the little symbol next to it means we are sketching a line. I'm going to go ahead now and touch my origin, and you'll notice when I get close, a little orange dot comes up, which means that you are locked to the origin. I'm going to left click, and I'm going to go straight up, and again, watch what Solidworks is doing for you. It's giving you clues. You'll notice that it gives me a little symbol at the back of the pencil there, indicating I'm drawing a vertical line, which is what I want to do. I'm going to draw up a vertical line. I'm going to left click. Pull to my right. Again, that's a horizontal symbol. I want to go horizontal. I'm going to left click. Pull straight down, left click. Pull in, left click. Pull down, left click. Pull to my right. Now this bottom is a little bit longer, so I'm going to go a little bit further out. Left click. Pull down until Solidworks shows me where the intersection is going to be. When I see that bottom dashed blue line pop up, I'm going to left click my mouse and pull straight back to my origin to left click and close the figure. Now at this point my tool is still active. I can still draw more lines. I don't need to, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this off by hitting escape. I'm going to center this up on my screen by hitting my F key on the keyboard. That will center. I'm going to roll back just a little bit with my center mouse wheel. I'm actually forward, push it away, and then I'm going to start putting some numbers on here. Okay, so the numbers I'm going to put on here, I'm going to go Smart Dimension. Okay, that's what our dimensioning tool is, and we're going to start adding some numbers. Now this is simply a little, you just got to click on things, and then you hit the modify box and put in some numbers. In this case, I'm going to start with this top line right here, and left click. There's my modify box. I'm going to put in 64. This height right here is 19. This height over here is 19. I'm going to click on this bottom down here, pull down, left click again. That is 83. And then the height of this, I got to go back and look at our model. The height of this is going to be 76. Okay, so I'm going to go 76 in there, enter. And then the only other one I'm missing is that from this line here, I left click, come to this line over here, and you notice it turns orange, left click and pull up, left click number 3 and type in 18. Now again, as we're getting into this, we got to pay attention to what Solidworks is telling me. By color, it's telling me that it is fully defined. How do I know? Because all my lines are in black. And then down here, where I'm circling, it says fully defined. That's perfect. Okay? We want every one of our sketches to always be fully defined. It is very important to get masses correct and everything else we're going to do in here to make sure that our drawings or sketches are 100% accurate, meaning fully defined. If I see any other color on there, like blue, for instance, blue means I need more information, so I got to add some stuff to it. If I see red or yellow, too much information, we got to fix something. Okay, we want black to be what we see on all of our lines, and in this case I do, which means I now can go up to a new tab called Features. And under Features, I'm going to do an Extrude Boss Base. Now your first time in here, you only get one of 3 choices. Extrude, you can revolve, which basically means you can spin it around the line. You can sweep it, which means basically you can have it follow a path. In this case, we don't have a path, so we can't make that happen. We are going to do an Extruded Boss Base. Now Solidworks this first time will automatically turn it into an isometric view, and it shows a thickness added on. Now right now that thickness is this number right here of 10 millimeters. Now we need to make this, instead of 10, we need to make this 102, and that came from the top view of our drawing. When I hit enter, it will show me in yellow what the part will look like. Now it's not solid yet until I tell it I'm done by hitting the green check mark. I left click, and now with an F key, there is the solid model. Now one of the things I want you to get in the habit of is we don't leave our models in what I call the basic state, which is blue. It means there's no material on there, there's no properties on there. If you go back to the drawing, you'll notice it's brownish because we have made this part out of a manganese bronze. So we're going to go ahead and add our material. We'll have material on every part we create in here so that we can get some kind of a mass or do some kind of test on it. Alright, so in this case, I've got to add my material. Going back into my SolidWorks to do that, again, over here in this design tree. Okay, this is like one of the most important things of SolidWorks is this design tree. Alright, here's our starting points that we just worked on. Now I'm going to add material in this design tree by right-clicking on the word material not specified and going to edit material. Now in here you're going to see a very large material database. Alright, as we play around this year, you're going to see we're going to get to use quite a few of these, especially some plastics when we get into our 3D modeling, but in this, or 3D printing, excuse me. But right now I want this to be specifically a manganese bronze. And bronze and brasses are under copper alloys. Okay, it's a copper tin mix. So I'm going to go down here in alphabetical order. There's brass. Okay, come down, there's copper. Keep coming down, there's manganese bronze. Left click on it, click apply, and then close. Okay, so there is the beginning of our part. Now, good practice dictates we should save right away. We want to make sure we don't lose this first step. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to do a file save. Or save as, either one will work. And I'm going to put this, in my case, my desktop. You will put yours into your H drive. And actually, I'll do this one in the H drive. I'm going to go down to my Tech23 folder that I've added in, which is right here. You can see I already have a part in there, so I guess I'll go ahead and put mine on the desktop. But I would like you to put yours in your H drive so it doesn't get lost. I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to call this, and I like my caps lock always on, ACC1. And then I'm going to go underscore my last name and call it good. Okay. The reason I want you to put your last name is that when you print the mass properties on this, which we will do, which tells us how much it weighs, your name will be on there because this is the title that will be on that sheet. So it's imperative I get your last name on there. I'm going to hit save, and now we have this part saved. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and highlight this top face, because now once you have a part, any one of these faces is basically a drawing surface. I can click on any one of these and start sketching. In this case, I want to hit this top face right here. I'm going to come over here to the Sketch tab and left click on the word Sketch. Now, in order to get this so it's straight at me so I can draw on it correctly, I need to do a little shortcut called the space bar. If you hit the space bar, you can change the way this part looks. Okay? Right now we're in what's called isometric or trimetric. I would like the part to be square to my screen. So if you hit this little symbol right here below it called normal to, it will rotate the part so it's flat to your screen. Left click it, and now the part is straight to my screen. With my sketch on, I can now use these tools up here. Okay, and the one I want to use that's kind of new for you will be the one right below the rectangle tool, right here in this first column. It's called the straight slot tool. Okay, now this is a 3-click process. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn my tool on, which then turns a pencil on. Alright, now in order to make this work and to draw a slot, I have to click 3 times on my part. So I'm going to go in here somewhere towards this, I guess, middle-ish area, about maybe a third of the way down from the top. I'm going to do a left click. I'm going to pull a straight line down. Now again, use SolidWorks little vision things. You'll see that yellow box comes up with a black line. That indicates this is vertical. I'm going to now left click when I get about a third from the bottom. That's left click number 2. And then I can pull either left or right, does not matter, to add some thickness. Okay, so I'm going to pull to my right. As soon as I get somewhere where I think it looks about right, I'm going to left click. Now again, that automatically puts it there, but my tool is still active, so I would like to turn that tool off. I'm going to hit my escape key. Now what we need to do is we need to define this thing because it's all blue. You see it's underdefined. It means I have to add some information. Well, the information I need to add is in this view right here. Okay, I need to make sure that this is a radius of 7.5, that from the center of this arc to this edge is 26, And then from the center of this arc to the center of that arc is 50. And then last but not least, this center of this entire slot needs to be 45 millimeters from the back. Okay, so let's go put all this into action here by turning on my Smart Dimension. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on this and make that 7.5. Enter. Now SolidWorks is going to automatically round it to R8. Okay, but if you look over here to the left, you can see the actual number is 7.5. If you're really anal retentive like me and want to see the 7.5, if you go up here where it says Tolerance and Precision, and you go to this where it says None Document, and drop that arrow to a 0.1, it will change it into a decimal. Okay? Now, I want to get a distance of 26 from this arc to this side right here. So I'm going to click on the center point. I'm going to click on this edge, pull to my right, and left click number 3. And in the Modify box, I'm going to type in 26. Now, from here, I'm going to hit this bottom line, or bottom, excuse me, center of the arc, the top center of this arc, and pull to my right. We are going to make that 50. All right, got those two in there. And then last but not least, I'm going to measure from this line here in the middle, left click, to this back edge, left click, pull down, left click number 3, and type in 45. Okay, now go back to that first conversation I had about your sketches. We're looking for color to indicate what's going on. I see all my lines are black. That is perfect. That's what we want. SolidWorks now says it's fully defined. We want things to be fully defined. If we see blue, we got to add more information. If I see anything red or yellow, I got too much. Right now, SolidWorks is happy. So what we're going to do right now is turn our Smart Dimension tool off. And again, I want you to use a little shortcut here. I want you to use the spacebar one more time, spacebar. And I would like you to click this little blue box in the corner to rotate your part into a trimetric or isometric view. So I left click, and now I see my 3D model again. Now what I want to do is cut this thing through. All right? So what we're going to do is go to our feature toolbar, and we're going to go to an extruded cut. Now this is really important. A lot of times kids make a mistake because all they see or think about are these over here. So I get a lot of students will do extruded boss base and then wonder why a hole is there. Remember, extruded boss base means you're adding material. We need to take material away. So we have to go to this side where we are actually cutting that hole out. So I'm going to hit the word extruded cut. Okay? Now, you'll notice it suddenly goes all the way through the part, and it has 102 in here. SolidWorks will reuse your previous number. So you remember the first number we entered for an extrusion was 102 across. So it's trying to use that number again. Now, we don't want it to go that far. I only want it to go to the other side of this piece right here. Okay, so there's two ways I can handle this. I could say, okay, well, I remember I can make it go blind distance of 19 millimeters, because that's what that distance was, 19, because that's that edge right here is 19, and type that in, and that would work. It would stop right at the bottom. But there's some other side things we can do, okay? We have all these other choices besides just measurement. If you did through all, well, that doesn't work because it's going to cut through everything. But one of the ones I like to use a lot is up to next, because what it will do is SolidWorks will calculate up to the next feature. Okay, so if I hit up next, it's going to stop when it sees basically this gap. So if you were to rotate by pushing down your middle button and moving your mouse, you will see this will stop right here at this face, which is what we want. Okay, spacebar isometric again. Okay, so I've got up to next here. I'm going to hit my check mark to finish. All right, so there is my slot. Now again, good habit is after each step, I would like to do a Control S for save. Okay, Control S for save. Now, I'm going to highlight this face right here. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we are going to draw a square on that face. So I'm going to highlight that face and go to my Sketch tab and turn on a sketch. Now, in order to get the sketch face flat to me, I need to hit my space bar and hit the isometric, or excuse me, the normal to. Now, I know it looks like we're drawing on the top surface, but what you're going to find here is when we go to draw, whatever surface is blue, that is where that sketch is going. Okay, so in this case right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use another tool. So we've used our line, we've used our slot, now I'm going to use what's called corner rectangle. Okay, it's a 2-click process, 2 points, 2 clicks. I'm going to left click, and basically just behind the slot, I'm going to left click a little bit, maybe about just above halfway of the slot. Left click number 1. I'm going to pull down and to my right, get a little bit beyond, about halfway again, and then left click number 2. Now you'll notice my tool is still active, so again, to turn it off, I hit escape. Okay, now, you see it's in blue. That's not good. It means it needs information, and it says right here, under defined. To define it, we have to get our measurements on there. So let's go look at our drawing. If we look at this box up here, I see that the square is 25 across, but 38.5 from here to here, okay? And then it's going to be 25 across here, and then it's going to be from this line to this front, 25. All right, so we're going to have to add these numbers in. So let's put those in. Turn on your smart dimension. Let's make this number here 25. Click on this side. Let's go ahead and put this number at 25. And then from here, this edge to this edge, we're going to make that 38.5. Okay, now it says 39. Again, if you really have to see that decimal, over to your left right here where it says none document, drop that down to 0.1 and you'll see that it's 38.5. Okay? Last but not least, I want to click this front line here, this back edge here, bring this up and make that 25. Okay, so now at this point, I am ready to actually cut this. So I'm going to take my smart dimension off. I'm going to hit my space bar in my isometric view, and now I see that square is truly on that face. So now what I want to do is cut it through. So go to Features tab. Remember, we don't want to add material, we want to take it away. So we're going to Extrude Cut. And now what I want to do is I want to do the fastest way possible. Since there's nothing below this, I'm going to say instead of up to next, I'm going to tell it, you know what, just go ahead and cut it all the way through. Through all. Hit your green check mark, and now you have a square cut through the bottom. Hit your Control key and your S key on your keyboard for save, and now this part is complete. Okay, so what I want to do next is I want to put this into a drawing. Actually, what we want to do next is we actually need to know how much this thing weighs. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this Evaluate tab. So we want to evaluate this part. We want to know how much it weighs. So we're going to go up to the Mass Properties button here, left click, and what it's going to do, first and foremost, however you saved it will be right here. This is what's going to print on this piece of paper. So now, from here, we're going to go to, and we see our mass right here. That's our actual mass of what this part weighs. What you're going to do is going to go ahead and hit print. And you're going to say, okay. Now, if you're doing this at home, you have to come in and print from school. Okay, so this is something you have to print here in the building when you're next time in class. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And now what we're going to do is put this into a drawing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a File New again. Now remember, when this opens up, we talked about this. These are the parts. These are our drawings. Okay, and the one I would like you to put it on is a GHSB metric. So it's this one here. I'm going to left click. I see a preview over here to the right. I'm going to hit OK. Now the part will still be there. It's just going to be behind the drawing. This is what we're going to put our drawing on. So it's going to look just like this when we're done. Okay, so going back into that, I go back to my part, hit the F key to center. Over here I see my A61. Now if I did not see this, I go browse for it wherever I saved it. I'm going to double click. Now this is going to be the same setup on every drawing we do in this class. Okay, so follow this, and you're going to see this more times on other films. I'm going to start by hitting the middle box. That is the front view. That's where we're going to start. I'm going to turn on my preview by clicking here. Okay, display style. We always want to have all hidden lines on. Those are those little dashed lines that you see running through the part to indicate cuts. So I'm going to turn that on, and then we can change the scale. Now, according to our drawing, let's go peek at this. The scale is right here, so we need our scale for this drawing to be 1:1. But if I go back into my SolidWorks right now, if you see the scale, it shows 1:2. So I need to drop it down by going to Custom Scale, drop this arrow, and rotate up to 1:1. Okay, now you're going to see this thing got really big. Now all you have to do from here is just start left clicking on the drawing. So I'm going to left click in this corner. I'm going to pull straight up and left click again. Pull to my right, left click, and then up at a diagonal, left click. I'm going to hit escape to turn that off. Okay. Now these tools here, these are all locked together, so they're going to stay all kind of as a family. All right, but this one here I can left click and drag wherever I need to go. Okay, left click and hold. I'm going to put this one right here, and we're going to add color to this. We're going to do that by coming over here to the left and clicking on this blue box. Okay, I'm also going to change the scale of this to 1 to 2. I can change the scale again on each of these individual parts by going over here to Scale, Custom Scale, and drop it 1 to 2. Okay, hit your check mark. And I'm also going to go in here and get rid of these black lines. We don't want these in here. So I'm just going to highlight those so they turn blue, and then I'm going to hit delete. Left click on this and delete. And now I can kind of move this to where I need it. Okay, so if we look at our drawing, we got at least our views are set up. Now we have to dump these numbers on here. Okay, so what we're going to do next is I'm going to go back into my SolidWorks, and we're going to tell SolidWorks we want to put dimensions on here. So if you go into your drawing tab, or excuse me, your view layout or annotation tab, geez, I gotta get this right, my annotation tab, and you go into model items, okay, and you change source to entire model, and just hit your green check mark, all the dimensions we did in the sketching will show up in this view. Okay, so all the things I did in the drawing are showing up right here. Okay, so in that case, I'm just going to make some adjustments. That looks good there. 45. The only one I'm going to change is, in this case, I'm going to take the 19 here. I'll slide that in. The 64 looks good here, and 18. That looks pretty decent there. The 83, though, I'll delete off here. I'm going to take this view and slide it up a little bit. Oops, let me roll in. And then I'm going to turn on my Smart Dimension tool, and I'm going to click from this back line to this line and pull down and left click again. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the 76 for a second, and then I'm going to come back and click the top, the bottom, and then pull this out over here. And now I have all the dimensions I'm supposed to have for this drawing. Okay, it's completed. I can adjust this. I'll probably pull this inside a little bit. That looks good there. Okay, the last thing I need to do is, you'll notice on this one, there's some plus signs in here. Okay, I need to add those in. So if I go back into my drawing, I can add those under my annotation tab by clicking on this word center mark. Okay, this is where it adds the plus signs. Now, what you want to make sure of is that before you click on this, since it's a slot, I need to go where it says slot center marks. I don't want the middle of it. I want it at the ends of it. Okay, so that's this one here. If you click on any one of these slots, top or bottom, does not matter, it will drop both of those in. Okay, and then to make sure that line that goes in between them, I'm just going to hit this little box right here over the left, and that will add that last mark in there. Okay, so now if I hit my check mark and my F key, you can see the drawing is almost completely done. The only thing that's missing here is my title block and the title below this. Now I'm going to show you a little trick right here. I'm going to go over to my PDF file. Here's the original. I'm going to left click and drag, make it all blue, and do a Control C. Go back into my SolidWorks. I'm going to go to this note tool under annotation, turn it on, and what you'll get is a box here. I'm going to left click the box right below the part and do a Control V. Okay, so there's all that information. Now, I want to highlight all this by dragging my mouse over it and making it centered. And then I'm going to highlight the top line here and make it underlined. Hit my escape key, drag this where you need to by left clicking and holding, and then make sure you double click right here, and I want you to put in that number that printed on your mass property sheet. Okay, that should be a number there. Now, the last step of this before you're finished is to double click the title here. And we're going to call this XWX part drawing dash ACC3, or excuse me, 1. Okay. Scale 1 to 1. I'm going to double click. First initial, last name. click outside, and I'm going to left click and drag this to the middle. Today's date, 01/20/21. Period is 3A, and then check by is me. Mr. Riddle is no longer here. Again, big thing here is you'll notice everything I have in here is in all capital letters. That's really important. Make sure your caps lock is on. At this point, this is a finished drawing, so I'm going to quickly do a Control Save. Say yes to update the views before saving, and then I save it in the same spot my parts are stored. So in this case, since I saved it to my desktop, it'll go to my desktop. For you, it should go back to your H drive. I hit save there, and then when you have an opportunity in class, you will print and turn this in. That takes care of ACC number 1. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.